Hello, welcome back to Mood Makers Home Decor. This is our podcast of all up in your what? Wreath business. Hey, and we have Jim Davis on. He is the owner of Holiday Home Creative. He'll be our special guest today that I'll be interviewing. It's very nice to have you, Jim.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So I'm just going to give a brief overview for, to give people an opportunity to know who you are. He
Great.
is the owner of Holiday Home Creative. He and his partner Scott moved the business out of their guest room into their new warehouse space as of August 2020. So that is very exciting. The Holiday Home Creative Design Center is actually located outside of the Chicago suburbs. It features a classroom, design studio, showroom, office, and warehouse. In this new space, Jim teaches online and in-person classes, does seasonal decor installations, and fulfills orders for his website for his own website and also for Easy Craft Easy Bows. Jim is also a freelance graphic designer and recently collaborated with Leva Cavender. Love her, love Leah. She's the creator of the Easy Bow Maker, and they designed the new Easy Bow Design Pro Bow Maker and is newly redesigned deluxe bow maker and supporting materials. So it is so super exciting. I have been seeing that bow maker and those beautiful bows for quite some time. I think I caught on a little bit of it last year, and you were giving away a bow maker, and I was like, I want that bow maker.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh,
Like,
you just read all of
me,
that and I'm tired.
me.
You read all that stuff and I'm like, geez, I'm tired now.
Yes, so I'm so excited for you and your design center, and you do some wonderful things. So I just want to come in and have you in on here. I want to know, how did you get started in your business, and how did that come about? Like your first wreath, and how did you get in the wreath business?
Wow. I think first, my first, well, everything came from my grandmother. My grandmother was a designer for a department store. She designed
Oh,
windows for a department store. And she sort of instilled in me this love of design. And every year at Christmas time, we'd make our own centerpieces.
mm,
She'd go and buy all the materials from like the flower suppliers, and so we'd have our greenery and our candles and all that stuff, and we'd make these beautiful centerpieces. And there are pictures actually on my website of me like at 7 or 8 years old making an arrangement that I made. So that's kind of
oh
fun.
wow, that is
Yeah,
incredible.
she was a great lady, and she sort of really instilled that in me. And back in the early 90s, I opened a retail store in the suburbs of St. Louis, which is St. Charles, Missouri. And St. Charles, Missouri has this historic district of old, beautiful buildings that were built in the late 1700s and early 1800s. So, like, really, really old stuff.
Yeah.
And I moved into a building that was built in 1815. And right after I did that, the store that was next door to me came up that the owner was deciding to retire and sort of get out of the business. And he asked if I would be interested in sort of carrying the store forward. It was next door to my house. I mean, the commute was terrible.
Yeah.
So, so we did that. And in that store, I started doing more floral stuff. I started
Oh,
doing that kind of stuff to have available in my store, because when you first launch a store and you build a retail store and you start buying inventory for it, that gets expensive.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it came upon me that I should maybe make a few things that I could put in the store. And boy, that took off like crazy.
Wow.
In really crazy, great ways. That stuff started selling. So like my first wreath to sell, or any flower arrangement or anything like that I made, came out of my store.
Oh.
And that historic district has a Christmas festival. And that Christmas festival is about 15 blocks of beautiful, beautiful, like I said, old buildings. And they needed somebody to decorate those
Mm.
interiors. And they asked me to submit a proposal. And so I did a whole bunch of renderings and drawings for all of it, and got the contract. And then for 10 years, I decorated the exteriors of those buildings, but only with live greenery and real wreaths and real swags and
Hmm.
red bows. And the
Yeah.
red bows is the moment that I came in contact first with Leah Cavender,
Wow.
because I needed to make about 2,000 bows. And
Yeah.
like anybody can, I mean, anybody can pick up some ribbon and like, like you can make a bow in your hand. Like you can do
Yeah.
that. It's okay.
Yeah.
It'll work. But not 2,000 of them.
No, you have
Like,
arthritis.
my hands were like 10. We're like, "Hey, what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
So, so I went looking for, and at Michael's, I found that they had those, the first of the deluxe easy bow makers.
Yes.
And that made me remember that back all those years ago, my grandmother and I were watching Home Shopping Network, and there was a bow maker on there, a bow
Mm.
making lady, and that was Leah Cavender. I didn't put the
Yeah.
two together until that moment. And
Yeah.
so I have my grandmother's original easy bow maker from the early 90s, which is like an antique practically now.
Yeah.
That's how I discovered Leah, was watching her, having watched her on Home Shopping Network. I reached out to her. We sort of corresponded over those years. Fast forward many years after I'd moved to Chicago, I went to a Wreath retreat in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And who was there? But Leah.
Leah.
And
That's crazy.
she was like, "Oh wait, you're," and wow, that's you. And
Right.
oh my gosh, you're so famous. Can I talk to you for a minute? And we became the dearest friends. And
Yes.
that has been like the most rewarding, most lovely relationship in my professional career here, because it was like a real thing. It was like a real thing. And
Yeah.
that's sort of the beginning. Boy, I talked a long time before you got down to ask another question.
No, I love that. We have similar history in that. My mom, she was actually an interior designer. She started Mood Makers. And I can remember that Easy Bow Maker when I was a child and she had it. And I told her, I was like, I know who she is. And she's like, really? She blew her mind that, she really remembered. But she didn't really make wreaths so often. But, she's more a seamstress and custom draperies and upholstery and that type of thing. But when she did make wreaths, she used that bow maker. And so that just, it blew my mind, that you started those centerpieces with your grandmother and how it stemmed from there. And that's absolutely amazing to, be able to have that type of contract for 10 years. Wow. And we love a good red Christmas bow. Like, that's classic. So I can definitely understand. You can't make a 2,000 of those with your hands, but that is awesome. So you guys
Really,
met and the rest was history. And how did
yeah.
that go about the designing of
You know,
it?
you know,
That's
it's kind of
awesome.
funny. It's kind of funny how it all happened. So I'm a retired theater producer.
Okay.
In 2016, my spouse of 31 years passed away. And in that work, I was finding that the schedule just wasn't tenable anymore. Like as I got later into my 50s, I'm like, I don't want to work 18 hours a day and sleep for 3 and never be home, never see my pets, never,
Yeah.
never like eat dinner at my kitchen, my dinner table. It's like I just don't want to do that anymore. And so I decided that maybe it was time to start doing this stuff more full time. I'd been over those years while I was still doing the theater stuff, doing holiday installs. I'd
Yeah.
started doing that, and that was like leftover from my time owning my store. That sort of grew into that, and so I started doing more holiday installs and more and more. And in that time that I was sort of thinking about retiring, a friend said to me, "Could you make me a Halloween wreath?" I'm like, "Oh, I do Christmas. I don't sure you could. Make me a Halloween wreath." And so I went looking in online. I went to YouTube and I went to Facebook and I found a whole lot of really amazing, crazy talented wreath maker type people. And I started watching and following sort of in the background. And I made that Halloween wreath and I shared it on my personal Facebook page. And people were like, "Oh my God, can I get something like that?" And that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's the thing I say to everybody is everybody thinks you've got to do all this advertising, you've got to spend all this money on that, and that's not how it works. It's
No.
just really simply not how it works. It works by word of mouth.
Yeah, it
It works
does.
by word of mouth. Every one of my install clients is by word of mouth. Every one of them is by something that I know. I just did an install for the Golden Girls convention, which is here in Chicago. and they needed a big floral design thing. And because one of the set designers who used to work for me at the theater that I worked at,
Oh, okay.
I did this stuff, called me and said, "Hey, could you do something for us?" And that turned into like, I'm there few days ago doing an install for the Golden Girls convention.
Yes.
That's
And
what
it was gorgeous. I saw the pictures.
So he wanted some great big blue gingham bows, and let me tell you, I can't show you the size on this little narrow screen, but let me tell you, they were like 20 inches wide. They were like they were huge.
Yes.
So we had a lot of fun with that. But so then I started doing that, and I did finally decide that it was time to retire and get out of that business. I have a new partner now, Scott, and Scott, a new partner. That makes him sound like they're new and improved. Let's call it that.
Yes.
So he said, "Well, why don't you just set up the guest room?" Because really, I'd been doing this at the dining room table for ages and ages and ages, and he was like,
"Oh yeah,
I have to get out of the dining room." So I did, and we dumped everything in the guest room because that was like the next obvious place to go with everything. And then we renovated the guest room, and then we filled up the garage. And it was like we were parking the cars outside.
right.
In the winter in Chicago, nobody wants to park their car outside.
No.
Or nobody wants to clean all that snow off their car in Chicago in January. So that next August, we decided to start looking for space that I could spread out in. And we found a really great industrial park that had like small little 1,000-square-foot warehouses with like a little office on the front of it. And we moved the business into there. And that became about scalability.
Mm.
You can only do so much in the space that you have. So you've got to be able to spread out all the things you want to do and have space to do that. And so, and because we sort of needed the guest room, like to have people in it. That was the plan, though of course COVID messed with that. So there hasn't been anybody in that guest room, even though it's
oh yeah.
So there you are. So in August of 2020, we went looking for that space and we found it. And it was a fabulous space. And it served us really well for about 6 months. And we were like, we're growing out of this space really fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then this past August, we started looking again, and a space opened up, the space that we're in now, in the same industrial park, but it's more than twice as big.
Mm.
So there's a lot more space here and a lot more space to, again, scale and spread out. And that's I think that's the key. Everybody says, well, how did you do that so fast? It's for two reasons. It's because we needed the space, and because Scott agreed that we needed the space, and he was willing to help me do that. I mean, and what does that really mean?
Yeah.
Let's not lie about it. So we did it, and we did it scared, and we did it like, is this going to work? Mm-hmm. And we're not completely paying all the bills yet. We're getting pretty close.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's exciting. That's exciting. That growth, and to now have space that I can do classes. Now that Illinois is letting us have people in the same room together, we can start doing that. And so we have the space, and we've been slowly renovating it and getting it ready. And that's kind of really exciting and fun. And I really love the opportunity to sort of share what I do with the community.
Right.
This community that inspired me and like showed me that this was possible. Mm-hmm. They showed me that there were other ways of doing this. And now I can share with them my style and the way of working with things. And as we were having that conversation about moving into this new space, Leah Cavender said to me one day, I want to redesign the bow maker. I want to have a new bow maker. And here, I'm going to walk over here, and hopefully the camera. Follow me. Come on, camera. Come on. You're going to follow me now? There you go. Come on. It was a good camera. You're a good camera. Yes, you are. So she had, of course, the Easy bow maker. I'm grabbing it from here under my table. I mean, everybody was familiar with this.
Yes, yes.
Everybody had one of these. We all knew it. And she said, I want it to be bigger. I want it to be larger. I want it to be more substantial. I want the numbers to be bigger. She knew that I did graphic design as well because she'd seen the graphic design stuff on my page. And she said, could you do something? Could you help me design the new bow maker? And I was like, what?
Wow.
I think back to the early 90s when like I was watching her on Home Shopping Network with my grandma.
Right.
I mean, do the math and like fast forward to that. Like what?
Yeah.
How did that actually happen? And it's really kind of amazing. And those are the things that I think inspirationally are like the things that are meant to be.
Right.
Pilla? I really think so. I really think that was meant to be. And so we did a bunch of work, and I mean, we made more versions of that new bow maker than you can even imagine. It took us a year. It took us a good solid year to design it and redesign it. But the result of this,
I love it.
and a game changer. And I got to design this.
Yes.
I got to design this in collaboration with Leah. I got to put all of my input and do research with the community and ask them what they wanted. And I got to design this. And that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Leah at the time was like, well, when we get these, we're going to need somebody to do the fulfillment for the orders because we want to sell them. Of course, you make something, you want to sell it. So
right.
I was like, well, I think if we had a bigger warehouse, we could probably service that. So that was part of the reasoning for moving anyway.
For expanding. Yeah.
Now that the bow makers have been on the market since October, we've been fulfilling those orders. So the manufacturer ships them directly to me. They come in here in the warehouse into our loading dock. And then Scott and I, like on a daily basis, we're like, how many orders are there in the system? And we process orders. So like me, the creative guy, is back there like digging through the boxes and things, printing the UPS labels as fast as I can. And that's how that happened. And again, that's like referral via word of mouth, via friendship, via word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Every success I think I've ever had in this business or in my life has been more because of word of mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really, really inspirational because people are like afraid to take the first step and afraid to get going. And I'm like, don't be afraid.
No.
Do it afraid. Sure. Like be a little scared. Sure. Like make it keep you awake at night. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that energy and that kind of devotion and that kind of passion is actually really what makes it work. And that's really the only thing I think, Pilon, that makes it work is energy and passion.
Yeah, that's right.
And making your own way, like having your own voice.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the work that you do, Pilon, and I'm like, that girl's got a voice. That girl has got a voice. Like we know what her style is because it is nothing but fabulous.
Thank you.
I mean, isn't it, you guys? I mean, don't you really think so? I really do. So grab my cup of water here. Here, you talk for a while. I'm gonna drink.
So that is so awesome. Like I just think it's really amazing. That is an awesome story. Like just to go through that and then to be able to make it and meet her and expand not only once but twice in the past 2 years. Like that is amazing. So a lot of people say like in the commercial aspects of getting a warehouse is totally different from maybe purchasing something residential. Like how's that process? Is it harder or?
When we were in the house, I'm like, we have all the space we need. We've got a house. But that actually wasn't true because like, when you're sitting at the dinner table and you look down at the dogs and there's blue glitter on their butts, you're like, right? It's like there's blue glitter all up on the dogs. I mean, I think there's something wrong with this picture, right? So that was like one of the days that I'm like, okay, I don't think we can do this much longer.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the dogs eating glitter, but clearly they were like sitting in it, and it's because it was on the floor. So, but like, going out and finding a space, we did it during COVID. Like we literally found our space right after the COVID thing started, and So there was space available because businesses were not needing space.
Right,
So
right.
landlords were like, "Oh,
Yeah, they were happy to have you. Come on
how
in.
much you got?" Okay, that's how much. So I mean, not quite like that, but pretty close. I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at Scott for his approval on what I'm saying, and he's looking at me like, "Poor
So
Scott."
it is
I was
crazy
telling Kawan
though.
before we went live that Scott just flew in from Pennsylvania last night. He was out there for new job training, and so he's a little jet lagged. I think he's still
Oh
on,
yeah. But
but
let me tell you now, those dogs you have, those pugs are the absolute cutest things. I love a good pug anyway. But when I saw them with their Easter and Easter bunny ears, oh my goodness.
they
I
all look
said,
so worried when
oh,
they
they're
have to
so
put on
cute.
their Easter bunny ears. It's an annual tradition where the dogs have to wear the Easter bunny ears. I've had them for decades,
Oh
and
wow.
make the dogs put on the ears. And my oldest boy always puts them on and looks like he always looks so worried. Worried more than the oldest dog. Always looks so worried when I put him on. Those photos, he always looks like.
I mean, they were just the cutest. They were just the cutest.
And then the middle girl just tries to eat the ears. She's like she shakes them off her head and then she's like, "Arr!" It's just, but pugs are the best dogs. They really are.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Really
They're
nice to
smart
have
dogs.
for now. So they're really sweet. So yeah. So finding space was a challenge, and it was frustrating, and it was stressful, and it was like, I don't know. Let's get in the car and go look. And that's literally
Yeah.
what we drove around to different places, and we're like, huh. Well, there's big space there, and it says there's space available there. And then it's like being brave enough to call and find
Right.
out information. So it becomes all about like square footage and how much it is per square foot. And something we learned that I didn't know until we started this process is when they advertise commercial space, they advertise it for by the square foot for the entire year. So it can be like
Okay.
$40 a square foot, but that's divided by 12.
Okay.
So then it's like $1 per square foot if it's like $12 per square foot. That I didn't know, but like I was looking at these things and I'm like, $12 per square foot for
You think you never afford it, right? Yeah.
that can't be right. And it wasn't. That was clearly not right.
Okay.
Because that was a year, not for a month.
Right.
So
Oh, that's something good to know. That's
so
really good to know.
that's a pro tip that I learned that meant that
Hmm.
it wasn't as near as expensive as you thought it was going to be. So
Right.
and then landlords our landlord has been amazingly willing to work with us. The space that we're in now was a water heater repair place for 30 some years. And it's a more front facing, larger space. So it, when they moved out, it was like paneling and asbestos tile on the floor. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
what the decor was. And he was like, no, we're going to gut it. And he literally gutted it. And then he let us choose the surfaces. Like he let us choose like what it was going to look like. So I got to pick the flooring and I got to pick the wall color.
Oh, that was nice.
And we got to talk about the physicality of what was raw space for the warehouse versus what was classroom space versus what was office or showroom or the room that we're in right now. The showroom is attached to my design studio. So and there's still Christmas trees over there. Don't judge me. But
Oh no, I'm not judging you. So I know it's you and Scott. Is Scott pretty much your biggest support as far as
I
your
mean,
support team?
serious. This wouldn't exist.
Okay.
I mean, it really seriously wouldn't exist, and I just wouldn't even have it if it weren't for him. And here he can say hi to you. There's
Oh,
Scott.
Hi.
Hi, Scott.
how are you?
He's hiding.
He's like, oh, you put the camera on me again. Stop it.
Well, that is totally awesome. I always want to know, like as a designer, we get busy and it takes a lot of our time and how, that affects your support team and everything like that. So it's good to have a good support system when you have a business, a small business, because a lot of times we do it all, right? And so that takes away from my family and everything else. So we have to have someone who understands that and, willing to help you through.
Yeah, I mean, he's here. I mean, the day after he flew in from Pennsylvania, and boy, are his arms tired. I'm kidding, dumb joke. After he flew in from Pennsylvania, he's here supporting me, and he's like, "We'll figure
Yes.
this out." And so, like after this, we'll go have lunch. But I mean, we'll have a late lunch anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of support. Honestly, this wouldn't exist without that support. And number two, that's all kinds of support, right? That's all different kinds of resources, including just moral support,
Yeah.
including just like the day when you're like, I'm done, I give up. People are mean. Why are
Oh,
people
yeah. Oh,
getting
yeah.
everybody's so upset? And like that's all part of running a business. Like
Hmm.
you deal with things, and sometimes he's like, okay, it's all right, calm down. Let's go for a walk, or let's go. I mean, I'm not going for any walks, but it's like let's go home and take a nap, and you can do a live the next day.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, so that's been really great. That's been really great, and I'm so fortunate. I mean, some people would say I was blessed, but I think I've been really fortunate to have that kind of support.
That's awesome. That's so amazing. So I do want to open up the floor to some of our guests. Maybe they have a question. So feel free to ask Jim a question here. We have our first question is from JoJo.
Hey, JoJo.
JoJo, she says, "Are you aware of any new trends coming our way?"
Yes. I think one of our jobs is to go to market, and learn about things. If you have a wholesale license, if you have the ability to buy wholesale, you can get into market. That's the kind of credential you need to get into market. But going to market is the place to learn that. And
Mhm.
there are all kinds of trends. One of my favorite trends that I love to look at is what's happening in Christmas, because I do all those holiday installs. I like to come up with what the new thing is going to be for my clients and be like, oh, have you seen the blue and the gold?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Or have you seen the leopard print Christmas trees? Have you seen them?
Wow.
Really trendy. It's really trendy. I mean, it's all over market. So things like that in Christmas have always really intrigued me, and that's probably because I decorated a Christmas festival for years, and because I happen to love to do installs. But um, it's amazing to me the longevity of the farmhouse trend.
Yes.
It's
Whoa,
amazing.
child.
Yeah. We all said 10 years ago that was like going to be like, oh, that'll be a flash in the pan, and that'll be out of here before the
It
end of
has been here to stay.
Oh, no, it's still hot and heavy. It's still hot. And heavy. I mean, you go buy galvanized milk cans anywhere you want.
Right. Oh,
I mean, you go
yes.
buy galvanized anything, and you go buy all of that ribbon that is completely farmhouse in style. All of the sunflowers and geraniums you want for days and days
Yes.
and days. Isn't that amazing how that's still here, and it's still on trend? It
It
is
is.
still on trend. Um, the other really interesting trend that I love have been following a lot recently is what I call the tone on tone, or the single color version of things. So if you like pick a color and then pick the shades and the tints of that color on the color wheel, that's really interesting to me to like see that we're doing pink and red and mauve and burgundy together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
core in floral design, that like any one tone, we pick one color and then we just do tints and tones and shades of it, and that's actually kind of really cool. So that the tone on tone on tone, like 5 years ago it was like color blocking. Remember when we were color blocking, when you
Yeah.
have a gray sofa with a blue pillow, and that was the design of the room. It's like those two colors, the color blocking. The drapes would be blue, and the sofa was gray, and the rug was blue, like that kind of color.
Yeah. Yeah.
That has gone away, and now it's more a little more tone on tone. And I think it's kind of our way that we want to, like, that people want things to look classy. I
Right.
think that sort of seems classy, and because people have been nesting in the past couple of years. I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't leave my house for a long time.
No.
I didn't go anywhere. uh,
No.
I could get a shot. I didn't go anywhere. So I mean, I think we all nested, and I think we have been nesting, and I think that's a big
And
part.
everybody wanted to change everything once they had to be at home, right?
I couldn't get any of it. Boy, well, don't even
Throw
get
it
me
out.
started about supply chain. Don't even get me started about the Christmas stuff I ordered 2 years ago that I still.
Yeah, I was ordering everything. Like I was ordering everything. I was an avid Amazon shopper when COVID first hit and all the restrictions. I don't know how they were delivering and still fulfilling all of those orders because I know I'm not the only one, but I did a lot of wanting to renovate. I saw when I did go out slightly, people were still at the Home Depot and the Lowe's heavy. A lot of people wanted to renovate, remodel, redesign. And so that kind of helped our business and our industry a lot.
It
And
sure did.
it
It sure
did.
did. And look at one of the color trends that are like really popular right now behind Pilon. Look at that. Look
Yeah.
at the blue
Yeah,
and
the
the yellow.
blue and the yellow.
I mean, it's on trend and it is coming. It's still coming our way, and it's not going anywhere.
No, it just pops so good. All right,
Yeah,
she says, thank you.
you're
So
so
anybody
welcome.
else have a question?
Or
So
should I do my interpretive dance now? Should I do
woo.
my
So
interpretive dance?
tell our viewers how to find you and how to order that bow maker because I need me one. I make a lot of hand bows.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have a bow maker, but I kind of just
Gosh,
I
Jim,
be
you could.
running around with my head chopped off, but I do want that one. I have to get it. I have to get it. And a lot of times, like if I want to do a terry bow or something like that, I kind of want to use a bow maker. So I probably need to quit being lazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I've gotten into my 50s, my ability to do in my hand has significantly decreased.
Okay.
I can do it, and I do when I'm in a hurry and working alone in the studio, and I need to bang something out. Honestly, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
pick up the record and I go, and I'm done.
Yeah.
But if I've got to make 30 of something, then I'm going to use the
No.
bow maker. And I'm going to use the bow maker because I can measure the things, right? I mean,
Right.
that's kind of the point. So, so yeah, was that what was your question? I rambled.
Oh, how can they order the bow maker and how can they find your business?
They, I knew you said something. I don't even know what. So you can find us online at www.holidayhomecreative.com. I bet Scott will put it in the comments for us. Um, and on there you can buy the bow maker. We have both the Easy Bow Maker and the Easy Bow Deluxe model, which was just actually redesigned. Did you guys see that it got a redesign?
Oh, that got upgraded. So
It
hold
got an
on, with the
upgrade.
new one, is the pegs don't come out or what's the look? I want to hold
Yeah.
them up.
The new one, the pegs are drilled deeper. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
I learned about the bow makers, and something from this one to this one. These pegs, the board's the same depth, but they're drilled more deeply, so the
Okay.
pegs don't splay out as much. And if you're really using a bow maker like every couple of days or so, upgrade to the deluxe
Yeah. Yeah.
because it has these plastic molded dowels that come out, and so they push in from the bottom.
Oh,
You push them in from the bottom of the bow maker.
that's really neat. Okay, I
So,
really like that.
and they are molded. This is molded high temperature plastic. So these aren't going anywhere. Like you can't, I mean, I can't pull them apart. So if you're making a lot of bows and using really big ribbon, or if you want to make a treetop bow or something like that, we're using like a lot of that velvet ribbon or something like that. This is your baby. People always say to me, which bow maker is right for me? And let me tell you, if you're making occasional bows, this will be fine. I've had my bow makers for decades.
Right. Yeah.
And some of them, the dowels are splaying out a little bit.
Yeah.
This, I mean, it's more expensive, but it's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's heavier, it's wider. I mean, you can see the difference. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
So see how much bigger it is. The numbers are bigger. One of the first things Leah said to me is, what do you feel about the label itself? And I'm like, well, I have to put on my glasses to see the numbers on the old.
Right.
Label.
Right.
So I made these numbers big.
Yeah.
That's one of the first things I did. And Leah wanted there to be a tall spool holder, so you could stack like 3 rolls of ribbon on there. So
Oh,
we did that, and we put a QR code on the bow maker. See that
okay.
right? So now if you scan that with your phone, it takes you to the website where you can see tutorials for all of the bows.
Wow. Now that is
And
awesome.
yeah, and do I have a new bow maker booklet, Scott? Do I have one? Maybe I don't. So like this is the old booklet that came in the old bow maker. And we've all had this and known it for years. And yeah, there were good instructions in there. But the
Yeah.
new booklet, and Scotty's getting me one, has a photo of the bow, a picture on the page of the bow maker and how many inches you need to go with each loop, and instructions, and then a QR code to scan. And it takes you directly to a tutorial on YouTube and on the Easy Craft website where you see the bow being made. And a lot of them are Leah and myself doing it. But this is the new booklet.
Okay.
And see, it has those recipes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That is really amazing.
yeah, so it's got that QR code and everything on there, so you can just scan it, watch somebody do it, and like replay it and pause it and go back and fast forward and like do the thing. And
Yeah.
so that was one of the things we wanted to do when we created the new bow maker was improve the instruction booklet. And so as the graphic designer, I got to redesign the bow maker, but I also did the booklet and all of the art marketing support materials. So that was kind of fun. That
Oh
was kind
yeah.
of a
It looks
project.
fantastic. Like that is a really good thing. I really like it. I have to give me one. I have to give me one. And I'm
Absolutely.
telling you, when I first started making bows, I'm that person that rewind and go in slow motion. So I love that, even though the pictures and the instructions, but to be able to go and see the video because I'm a visual learner, that is
Yeah,
awesome.
I think a lot of us are, and that was the whole idea for having all this visual stuff. Just even in the booklet of like how many
Yeah.
inches. Can I get closer to that?
Okay. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So you can find out more about that on holidayhomecreative.com. They're even on sale right now. So
Oh.
Leah is letting me run a sale, so they're less expensive. Woo! Woo! So and you know where they're coming from? They're literally coming out of my warehouse right here in Chicago. I mean, these were made in the United States. This isn't a China thing. This isn't an imported thing. These things have not been in China ever in their lives. I mean, we've shipped some to China, but we haven't.
Yeah.
But we're making them here in the United States,
That's
down in
awesome too.
Georgia and in Tennessee. So
Hmm.
so that's actually really cool.
Really cool. So you guys go out and support his business. Go to holidayhomecreative.com. Order your bow maker. Check out some of his classes. He does online classes. And if you're ever in his area, check him out and see if you can visit his design center
Come and see us. Come
and
and see
see
us.
the showroom.
Find me on Facebook. We try to do weekly lives on Facebook out on the public facing page. So, but I also have a private group, a paid
Okay.
private group called Jim's Creative Design VIPs. And in there, it's a little smaller. It's less than 50 people, and it's a chance to like really get down in the deep nitty
Yeah.
of design. We talk about color theory and we talk about floral design principles and elements and all of that sort of stuff to sort of take your designing to the next level by learning. I mean, sure, it's nice to do what looks good, but it's also nice to know why we do it
Right.
and
Right.
why pink looks really good with yellow. It's good to know why, because there's color theory behind that, or why blue looks good with yellow.
Right. Yeah.
Where the
Yeah.
color, it's all
I
color
the color
theory,
wheel. Yeah.
right? I mean, you don't have to like know all that stuff verbatim. Nobody's going to give you a quiz, but it's good to know that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
I think
Right.
that's actually
And
one
you
of the,
know, I mean, it's so obvious to me. Like you were a graphic designer, you use so many of those, color techniques even within doing that. So I mean, like I know your classes are probably awesome.
we have a lot, and we have a lot of fun. We're a hoot. I tend to let my hair down. I mean, I don't actually comb my hair like I didn't for this. Um, but Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of fun, and and I think we learn things along the way, and we learn from each other. I think that as a teacher, I learn as much from my students as I teach them. So, or I sure I do.
Yes.
So,
That is amazing. That's amazing. But I want to thank you so much for being on All Up in Your Wreath Business.
thanks for having
And
me. Lovely to be your guest today.
yes, it was a wonderful time. I want to wish you much success with your design center and your, current new expansion and getting all the remodeling done. It's the fun part. I
Hey,
love to just pick out
hey,
all the stuff.
we just put a kitchen in the warehouse 2 weeks ago. So it all started because I wanted to have ice for my water to drink.
So
I
you
had to
got
get
to
a
do the whole
refrigerator.
kitchen, right?
Like, so then all of a sudden we're buying countertops and cabinets. You know what I mean?
I love that stuff. I love it. I love it. Picking out all the things.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes. And you guys have a wonderful Sunday. And thank you for watching. Y'all have a good day.
Guys, bye for now.
Bye bye.